I'm now at the point where I'm trying to keep myself at bay when it comes to talking about these two individuals, whether on an individual level or on a collaborative level. I don't think I've ever talked about them on a collaborative level, of course, individually for sure. But this one I just couldn't pass up because these two right here have shown without the shadow of a doubt that it reminds me of that song that Neo, I don't think it was a Neo song, but in the song he says, I'm a movement by myself, but we're a force when we're together. This is what it kind of reminds me of. So in case y'all don't know, Candace Owens, or the Coonstress as I like to call her, came out with a documentary on Netflix called The Greatest Lie Ever Told. And it was talking about George Floyd and BLM. Now, we all know how vitriolic Candace Owens is when it comes to both of those things, especially BLM. But remember when George Floyd happened, she had all this shit built up in her to come at that situation with in a very anti way, as she is when it comes to black people in general, especially black Americans. Like, she was putting out all this propaganda. She was donating money to probably different police unions, or at least to the cops that were involved, like trying to give money and all of that. Like it was creating like GoFundMe's and stuff. I think one of them or two of them got shut down for her even doing that. A lot of people seem to forget that she did that. Like, that was supreme level bed winching right there. That was supreme level bed winching of levels that I don't think I've seen anyone else reach when she was doing that. Some people seem to forget that. It's like when one got shut down, another one opened up. And I believe they shut that one down too, but I believe she ended up raising like a six-figure sum for one of those cops. And I wouldn't be surprised if Chauvin was that cop. And then on the flip side, you have Kanye West, who I've like gotten to the point where I'm tired of even mentioning his name, who came out recently and said that George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose, and it wasn't him getting the knee on the neck, or there was no way that he could have died from having the knee on his neck, even though the coroner's office, and I believe that the family had multiple autopsies done, all came to the same conclusion that George Floyd died of asphyxiation from the knee being on his neck for damn near 9 minutes by that terrorist, Derek Chauvin. But he's echoing the same talking points of the person that you see to the right of him in this picture, and of his PC handlers, or his little stands that look like the palm of our hand. Well, it's not looking too good for either one of them right now, because according to an article I'm about to read, I think the Floyd family is preparing to sue both of them for a multitude of reasons. One of them could definitely be defamation of character and putting out false information. Because like I said, I knew that the Coonstress was coming out with a, I knew she was coming out with a documentary, quote unquote, on Netflix about calling The Greatest Lie Ever Told. And I already knew it was about BLM. I didn't know it was also going to tackle George Floyd, or at least let that be a focal point for the reason why she was also going. So I can only imagine what she had to say in there. I for sure will not watch that. I would much rather watch that Dahmer story over again than to watch this once. I can't believe I actually said that, but it is what it is. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and read this article that's coming from TMZ that was posted October 17th, 2022. George's family is openly considering a potential lawsuit against Kanye West and Candace Owens, a case that could be similar to the blockbuster one against Alex Jones, but also different in some key ways. Civil rights attorney Lee Merrick, who's repping the fam, tells TMZ he is exploring all possible legal avenues to bring a potential lawsuit over what Kanye said about George on the new Drink Champs episode, and he's also looking into what Candace put out in her new documentary. Lee's already noted a defamation lawsuit is impossible because George is deceased. Well, that takes out what I originally wanted them to get him on. But he is looking into other possible ways the Floyd estate, the George Floyd Foundation, or the family members themselves could bring claims, and one path could be emotional distress. The Sandy Hook families were able to successfully sue Alex Jones for defamation because he called the parents actors. Kanye didn't say anything about George's family members, but his statements and allegedly the Owens documentary could still have a negative impact on them, which is why Merit is pursuing grounds for a lawsuit against them. The bigger point here is this, that Lee wants Kanye and Candace to understand statements like the ones they're putting out in the world, namely that George died from a fentanyl overdose and pre-existing conditions, but not Derek Chauvin's knee, are false and hurtful. Lee tells us that type of rhetoric undermines the Floyd family's efforts to pass legislation like the George Floyd Policing Act in their work at large. He also says it deflects blame from the officers who have been convicted in connection to his murder, especially Chauvin. There's still a lot of groundwork to do before anything's filed. We're told Lee and the family have to go through Candace's doc, The Greatest Lie Ever Told, to see what exactly she said and if there's any basis to bring real legal action. Lee says he believes he'll have a more specific outline of his potential causes of action later this week. He says the family hadn't discussed a dollar amount for which they try to sue, but it's a good bet they tried to get punitive damages. And given Kanye's worth, those damages would have to be several million to truly punish him. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that they could punish him any more than what, who am I thinking of? JP Morgan Chase have already done by saying we're no longer doing any type of banking with him. I don't think they can do it any more than that's already happened when it comes to him. But it definitely should happen nonetheless. Like I said, these two right here are absolute trash. And then you have people up here that have the nerve to sit up here and say that Kanye West is a genius. I'm getting so tired of hearing that, of hearing those two things in the same sentence, because in my grand honest opinion, he is no genius. And it also waters down what the word genius means. It takes away its impact because it's a very powerful word and it should be given to the people that it's deserving of. And to me, he's not deserving of it. I don't care what anybody has to say. These two are so off code. Well, her, I'm not so surprised about. Him, over the years, I've grown to just completely distance myself away from this individual. I know it sounds kind of crazy considering I don't even know him personally, and it's a good thing that I don't. But if I did, there's no way that I would stay in contact with him. None. I wouldn't even try to, if he was the last person on earth I had to reach out to for some kind of help, maybe it's an issue I have, well, then whatever issue it is I have, I would just have to deal with it on my own, or it would have to consume me, because there is no way in hell that I would reach out to him at this point. And as for the Coonstress, I mean, it's self-explanatory. Y'all know I've had nothing but not so nice things to say about her over the years, and I'm not going to start trying to shift the needle now. What's the point? But like I said, it's in the title of her documentary. It says The Greatest Lie Ever Told, and it says George Floyd and BLM. That's the full title, or somewhere along those lines. So the fact that George Floyd's name is in the title, that pretty much lets you know right there. And going back to what I said at the beginning of this video, this woman created GoFundMe's and other little Kickstarter type campaigns to raise money for these cops. After that happened, people seem to forget that. I did not forget that. I didn't. That woman is a snake and a host and gang of other things that I'm not going to say right here in this video, but y'all can fill in the blanks for yourselves. Let your imagination wander and run free. But keep in mind, I just did a Blacaren video on her too, when she's out there carrying the water for PC men. And I think recently, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ben Shapiro checked her on some stuff that she said, and it's crazy. He checked her considering he's given her so, and I do mean so much leeway to get away with some of the stuff that she said, that you would think that him being a person who was in the J community would not let her get away with. But like I said, they have to allow her to be the mascot, and they can't afford to lose her right now unless something happens to the point where they have to just cut the strings off of her and let her go. I think she's already had a few strings cut, but she doesn't realize that this woman is literally dangling by a thread. And I can't wait for that thread to either get cut or popped. I wanted to shift gears right quick and talk briefly about this that came out as well, because I didn't want to make a whole separate video. I'm trying to keep my stuff limited when it comes to talking about this guy. So it says Kanye West to buy Parler joining the right-wing social media crowd. The platform announced the deal days after Twitter and Instagram restricted the rapper and entrepreneur's accounts for posting incendiary content. Finding very interesting that he's buying this particular social media platform after what happened, you know, with his other social media accounts. Now, in case y'all are unaware, like they say, Parler is basically one of those right-wing conservative, so-called free speech, non-censored type platforms. But what's even more interesting about this, in case y'all didn't know, is that Parler, well, the CEO of Parler is George Farmer. George Farmer is Candace Owens' husband. And based on what I have heard, and I was watching this other YouTuber by the name of Sean C. If y'all don't know who Sean C is, he basically does commentary on a lot of hip hop artists, but he dives a little bit deep into the commentary when it comes to it. And he did a very, very, very thorough breakdown when it came to Kanye West. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna leave the link to his commentary about that, because I was listening to it last night, and man, like, he had me almost watch that thing on repeat a couple of times, because he went in on that commentary in a very calm tone, but he broke some stuff down and he brought this up. It's very interesting that, you know, about Parler, because Parler is a social media platform that wasn't doing well, like very successful. The numbers weren't exactly where they wanted it to be or hoped that it would be. They thought it was going to be something that was going to compete against, you know, Twitter, which I don't know why they thought it was going to compete against it, but it really didn't. You know, at one point you had Candace Owens on Twitter talking about she was going to leave Twitter and then go to Parler, and she thought by her saying that it was going to bring a lot of more people with them. But even that really didn't work like that. So she thought she, you know, had a bigger voice than what she did, but she found out otherwise. And the app actually for a little bit kind of decayed to the point where they took it off the app store, and then they brought it back like maybe months later. Like it was that bad. So what I'm thinking, like, I got that tinfoil do-rag tingling right now, is that Kanye West buys Parler, and what it'll do is, because of everything Kanye West has been saying right now, and why you have a lot of people out there calling him a genius, that'll bring more people to the social media app that is Parler. But guess what? George Farmer is still the CEO of the app. It didn't say that Kanye West is now the CEO. It just says that he's going to buy the app. But George Farmer will still reap benefits as well as the CEO. And so will Candace by default, because she's married to the CEO. And because she's quote unquote friends, and I put that in big air quotes, with Kanye West, now she reaps the benefits of that because she knows him. See, I think this is all one big con finesse, especially on her part. I keep telling people that woman is not to be trusted in a multitude of ways. She is out for self, and her husband as well, but definitely for self. And I don't know if Kanye West has gotten the memo or not, but he probably won't hear this video because it is what it is. But if he could, I would say, Kanye West, you better watch your back, because that woman is not to be trusted. I'm going to just put it like that. And one thing that Sean C also said in his video is that when it came to black people, and I truly believe this at this point, that Kanye West is pretty much done when it comes to black people. He's pretty much used black people for all that he could get out of us. You know, whether it's buying his music, getting his, buying his fashion items, whether it's those ugly ass shirts or them ugly ass Yeezys. I don't care what anybody say, them shoes is ugly. Anything else, he's pretty much done with. He's shifting and looking for a new crowd. Like, listen to some of the stuff that he says when it comes to black people. He's sometimes subliminally and sometimes overtly telling us, I don't need you anymore. I have a new lane that I'm carving out for myself, and you don't fit in that lane. You do not fit in that mold. Like, look at this latest venture right here. That doesn't cater to black people at all. Like, where would black people fit into that? And the thing about it is, Kanye West his mind is so warped right now and in that world that he seeks their approval every chance he gets. Like I said, just listen to some of the stuff he says. He sounds like a sad child begging for a home that's stranded out onto the streets. And he will look for anyone to take him in as long as they aren't black. Like I said, look at how he talks about when it comes to the fashion industry, which he might have burnt a few bridges when it comes to that. I wouldn't be surprised if some of his stuff doesn't end up on the runway anymore. Hell, it's even gotten so bad that even 45 has come out and said that Kanye might be a little too crazy. Now, pay attention to that. We're talking about a guy who has said some crazy things of himself in the past. Now, if a person who has said crazy things in the past and still says crazy things now is coming out and saying someone else is too crazy, especially this is a person that he quote unquote called his friend or whatever, then that's saying something. But then again, Kanye also said in that Tucker Carlson interview that when he went to go see 45 at the White House, his approval rating went up. So even then, Kanye was being used. But the thing is, this guy wants approval from them so bad. Either he doesn't realize that he's being used, or he knows he's being used, and he loves it because these people are giving him the attention in the time of day that he knew he wasn't getting otherwise. It almost makes you wonder too, did Kanye get into these tax brackets not because only of his heart, of his work ethic, and because he earned it, which I truly believe that he did? Or is he doing it with everything I just said, plus he's trying to get into circles just to say that he's in those circles? Again, in a position where not only a lot of black people are not in, but there are also other people from other groups that aren't in those spots either. But the majority of the people there don't look like him. So you have to like really, really take all of this into consideration. This is a self-serving individual right here. I don't care what anybody says. And like I said, you can call this man a genius and all that you want. But that word has lately lost its luster, and it's mainly due to a lot of people, his fans and whoever, who keep throwing this title and this label upon him that, in my honest opinion, he does not deserve. And that's not me hating. That is just me stating what I believe to actually be true. I have to insert this part right here because people are now bringing this back up and saying, well, George Floyd's family is being ungrateful, and the lawsuit of $250 million. And well, a couple years ago, he gave this family $2 million, and now you're basically biting the hand that feeds you, and this, that, and the third. And let me tell you something right now. This is what's actually getting on my bad side when it comes to black people, because I saw so many black people posting this screenshot right here up, and I saw, of course, PC doing the same thing. And I'm like, y'all are telling half truths and you're being very disingenuous for no reason at all. But since y'all want to go there, let's go there. So in case y'all didn't see, this is June 4th, 2020. It says Kanye West donates $2 million, pays college tuition for George Floyd's daughter. I'm trying to figure out why people keep saying that he paid $2 million to George Floyd's daughter when he definitely did not pay $2 million to this little girl. It just says pays college tuition for George Floyd's daughter. But now let's scroll down and really read this article, because for some reason people have a hard time doing that. So here's the article right here, and it's a very short one. As a matter of fact, this is the whole article right here. Kanye West has made a $2 million donation to support the families of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. Again, the families of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. That's three entities. That's three different families. Why people keep insisting that George Floyd's daughter was the one who got the whole $2 million is asinine. But they keep leaning on that, and I don't know why. But let's continue. It says the donation includes funding for legal fees for Arbery and Taylor's families, along with black-owned businesses in crisis in his native Chicago and other cities. It doesn't even mention legal fees for George Floyd, just for Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. But let's continue. West representative said he established a 529 education plan to fully cover college tuition for Gianna Floyd, the 6-year-old daughter of George Floyd. So there it is. He only paid for her college tuition. And you had people online talking about $2 million. That sure is a lot of money for a college tuition. Yes, we know it's for a lot of money for a college tuition, but guess what, you idiot? If you read the whole thing or read the article, even just at a little bit, if you didn't read the whole thing, you would know that he wasn't talking about giving her $2 million just for her education. She didn't even get a whole $2 million by herself. It was split between 3 families, which means each family didn't even get $1 million apiece. They got 6 figures apiece. I'm gonna need people to read. Let's continue. West's donations come as demonstrations against Floyd, Arbery, and Taylor's death have taken place around the world. Many voices in entertainment are calling for an end to systematic racism, police brutality, and action from political leadership. 3 of the Minneapolis police officers arrested in Floyd's death make their first court appearance Thursday afternoon as the Floyd family holds their first of several planned memorial services. Derek Chauvin, the officer who pinned Floyd to the ground by his neck for nearly 9 minutes, was arrested last week and charged with 3rd-degree murder and 2nd-degree manslaughter. On Wednesday, prosecutors charged him with a more serious count of 2nd-degree murder. Arbery, a black man, was fatally shot while jogging outside of Brunswick, Georgia on February 23rd. 3 white men have been arrested in his death. Taylor was an EMT who was shot at least 8 times in March when 3 officers entered her Kentucky apartment by force. The FBI has opened an investigation into her death. And that's the whole thing right there. Like I said, what got me the most is how many people, I hate when CNN does that, led with this and tried to make it seem like they literally changed and switched the whole headline to make it seem like the people that are opposing what Kanye West has said, and not just that interview, but just over time, were just being haters. And they thought they were winning with this headline, but they literally remixed it and jumbled it up into their own narrative. And I'm looking at the headline, I'm like, are y'all reading this right? Because it didn't say that Kanye West gave $2 million to George Floyd's family. It said he donated $2 million, comma, pays college tuition for George Floyd's daughter. These people must have read it as Kanye West gave $2 million to George Floyd's daughter to pay for her college. That's probably how they read it. But if you just scroll down just a little bit and read this piece right here, because it's the whole article, it explains what that money was and where it went. It did not all go to her. It went to 3 families. She got a college tuition. As a matter of fact, we don't even know, and I don't care that we don't know. As a good of a gesture it is none of our business. We don't even know the undisclosed amount of money that Kanye West gave to his daughter, to George Floyd's daughter, to pay for her full college tuition. We don't know. And honestly, it's, like I said, it's none of our business. I don't care. That just means that she doesn't have a mountain of debt when she gets out of college. And if she doesn't go to college, maybe they can put it into a trust of some form. So I need people to be a little bit more honest with themselves. Because that disingenuous thing that people have been doing online when it comes to this for the last week or so, that is insane. That is asinine. And that actually makes me very disappointed in a lot of black people who peddled this the most. I'm going to be honest with y'all. It was black people. And I hate that I say this, but it was black people that I saw pushing this narrative the most, whether they were a fan of this man or not. And it's crazy. Y'all was literally out here sounding like the same PC people y'all claim to dislike. That is wild to me. So this little bit of news just came out recently on October 19, 2020. And it says George Floyd, Candace Owens drink champs could be pulled in a $250 million lawsuit. Daughter is traumatized. So now I actually was saying on a video that Amazing Lucas just did, and if y'all haven't checked it out, I posted it in my community tab. I'll probably post it down here so you can go and watch it if you haven't done already, where he really thoroughly did a long form video that was like an hour long, where he went through and completely debunked everything that she was talking about in that so-called documentary. And usually he doesn't do videos that long, but he did one that day. Like he said, he had time that day. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't done so already. And I said in the comment section that Candace is definitely one that George Floyd's family should be going after for sure. If they didn't go after anybody else, definitely go after her for sure, because she needs to be humbled immediately. Y'all saw the Black Heron video I just did on her. Granted, it has nothing to do with this, but that aside, she needs to be brought down a few pegs, because she's feeling herself and has been for quite some time, and no one has actually completely, truly checked her. And I mean really check her. But I'm going to read this article, and it states, Candace Owens just responded to what Gianna, and that's George Floyd's daughter, legal team told us, saying, what I love so much about George Floyd's family lawyers is how they keep talking to TMZ about quote unquote lies in my documentary, but keep neglecting to specify what the lies were. My documentary told no lies. They are simply angry that we exposed theirs and are running PR for BLM. Like I said, go watch Amazing Lucas' hour-long debunking video of that. It has it all there. He even includes clips from the documentary in there to show you where the lies were and to debunk the lies that were being told. It's all right there. And it's amazing that this comes about after Lucas posts that video. I'm not going to say that his video had anything to do with it, but do you think that's a coincidence that this now comes up after that video got posted? I'm just saying. That would be very interesting. She continues, the George Floyd story was the greatest lie ever spun by our media. I highly doubt that. She should say, in her opinion. My documentary successfully exposed their lies, and people are understandably shocked at how twisted and sick our media is in their commitment to control the masses. There may be more people who have to answer for what Kanye West said about George Floyd. Candace Owens, Nore, and Diddy's Revolt TV could soon be in the legal hot seat too. The legal team repping Floyd's young daughter Gianna tells TMZ any and all possible defendants are on the table as they continue to explore their options in what will be a mega lawsuit regarding comments made on Drink Champs. One of the attorneys, Kay Williams, says Candace is an obvious would-be co-defendant, as the remarks Ye made were a direct reflection of stuff she put out in her new documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. Williams says there are blatant lies mentioned in the film. Nuru Witherspoon, another lawyer on the case, says Ye's comments have re-traumatized Gianna all over again as she's being exposed to the new content. Witherspoon notes that while they mention suing for defamation in their press release, the actual suit will be rooted in intentional infliction of emotional distress and misappropriation, because you can't legally defame a dead person, and Ye didn't mention George's family. Still, both Williams and Witherspoon make it clear it's open season on anyone who perpetrated lies about George Floyd. Candace and Kanye are the clear targets. However, you have to imagine the folks behind Drink Champs, Revolt TV included, could be in their crosshairs as well. One final member of the team, attorney Pat Dixon III, gets into even more detail about what exactly Gianna is going through emotionally, not to mention her mother. He tells us they're going down this road to preserve George's legacy for both him and his family. Like we said, the suit hasn't been filed yet, but Gianna's lawyers have already signaled an amount of money they want, at least $250 million. FWIW Revolt TV has removed the controversial episode in question entirely, and Nore has attempted to apologize. I keep telling people, if they want to go down this road and continue to do what they do, then this is what ends up happening. And like I said, this one right here, I'm telling you, that woman is a staunch manipulator. She pulls a lot of strings. She's almost like a puppet master herself. And again, if y'all have not watched that video that 1 hour long video of the amazing Lucas debunking that entire quote unquote documentary, please go ahead and do so. I'm definitely going to leave the link. I'm going to pin it in the comments so y'all can't miss it. This is the last thing I'm most likely going to insert in when it comes to this video, because this is an observation that I made after initially talking about this in a live stream that I did. And of course, y'all already seen what I was talking about if y'all caught the live stream itself or caught the playback clip that I posted as a pre-recorded video. Did you or has anybody noticed that when Kanye West and Candace Owens wore these White Lives Matter shirt, not one PC person or one of those black Sambo-servatives came out and said that this was considered being woke? Because y'all know they love to call things woke, especially when it comes to black people. As a matter of fact, there was a commercial, a little off topic, but on topic. It was a commercial promoting the new Modern Warfare game. And the name of the commercial was called Squad Up. And basically what they did was they took a bunch of artists, like hip hop artists, even like some country artists and actors, and put them all into a commercial together. And they made up a song that went to that cadence that you hear a lot of people who are in the military, especially in the army, do. If y'all heard the cadence, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It's one that's been around for years. It's one of the most commonly known ones. Like when you hear it, you know exactly what it is. And I was looking at the comment section, and of course, well, first off, that particular commercial had one of the lowest likes out of all of the promotions that they did for that particular game. Of course, you know, on YouTube, you can't see the dislikes, but there's a way that you can't find the dislikes. And I'm looking through the comment sections, and people were cheering in the comment section saying, yay, the video has like 59,000 dislikes. Let's get it up to 60,000. Let's get it up here. Let's get it up here. And of course, throughout the comments, all you kept seeing was woke this and woke that, woke this and woke that. And then I look back at this, and you don't see them saying anything about woke. They literally told on themselves when they did not call this woke. And this is something myself and other people in and outside of the new black media have been saying for a very long time. Woke to them is anything that involves black people, even though black people were the ones that coined the phrase, or should I say coined the word that is known as woke in its essence. I even did and show what the true definition of the word was and what it has turned into, and like what it has been bastardized into. I mean, Kanye West even sat across from Tucker Carlson, of all people, who loves talking about liberal left this and liberal left that, woke this and woke that. And not one time in his interview did he question Kanye and say, well, don't you think that this might actually upset the quote unquote anti-woke mob, or this is feeding into the woke mob, as they like to call it? He never once asked that question to him because he agrees with that shirt. Candace Owens, who loves to parade herself as this some kind of beacon of light for white lives, especially white male lives, didn't say anything either. Look at her. She's standing right there side by side, damn near hand locked with Kanye West, showing all 32 teeth. As a matter of fact, she told on herself when Harry Styles, who was a part of that group One Direction, of course, is a white male, posed on the cover of, what was it, GQ, wearing a dress, and she got upset by that, saying that, you know, this is an attack on masculinity. But there were so many other images of black men in dresses, and she never once said anything about that because she has no problem seeing black men in a dress. But when she saw one white man in a dress, she said, oh, it's an agenda. Now it's an agenda. She told on herself then, and I think I called that out when hardly no one else pointed that out. And then, you know, you look at when I was talking about her in that thing she was talking about with White Lives Matter. And again, what was she doing? Holding and carrying the water for white men again. Who was she married to? A white man. So she's literally trying, she's literally, like I said, and she's pedestalizing white men, or the white male patriarchy. She could care less what happens with black men. You see how she talks, especially when it came to George Floyd. That's just who she is. And again, the hypocrisy is there, and they told on themselves when they did not say this was woke.